My name is Ryan Fobbs Graves, and I'm a former F-18 pilot with a decade of service in the U.S. Navy.
My name is David Charles Grush. I was an intelligence officer for 14 years, both in the U.S. Air Force, at the rank of major, and most recently at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency.
My name is David Fravor. I'm a retired commander in the United States Navy.
Now, those three men testified before Congress today, revealing shocking details about what we call UFOs, but the government calls UAPs, or unidentified aerial phenomena. Now, for decades, these men served our country with honor, and no one at that bipartisan hearing today called into question their integrity or their credibility. But the testimony, it has to be taken seriously.
UAP are in our airspace, but they are grossly underreported. These sightings are not rare or isolated, they are routine. Military aircrew and commercial pilots, trained observers whose lives depend on accurate identification, are frequently witnessing these phenomena.
I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program.
The technology that we faced was far superior than anything that we had. You're talking something that can go into space, go someplace, drop down in a matter of seconds, do whatever it wants, and leave, and there's nothing we can do about it. Nothing.
They even talked about some of the G-forces that they've seen, which in simplest terms, it's when you feel your body accelerating against gravity.
What about G-forces? Let's talk about G-forces of those vehicles. Could a human survive those G-forces with known technology today?
No.
No, not for the acceleration rates that we observed.
And some of the claims were quite literally out of this world.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
Biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
Now, what I think everybody wants to know at this point is, how has all of this been happening without the public discovering it and without the government being, frankly, totally transparent on what has gone on all these years? With all the claims of conspiracy theories, now we're learning it just now? Well, this exchange does provide a bit of an answer.
Do you have knowledge or do you have reason to believe that there are programs in the advanced tech space that are unsanctioned?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
How does a program like that get funded?
I will give you generalities. I can get very specific in a closed session, but misappropriation of funds and
does that mean that there is money in the budget that is said to go to a program, but it doesn't, and it goes to something else?
Yes, I have specific knowledge of that. Yep.
Yeah, it's all fungible. It's your money, taxpayers, but they can just pick it out of any pot they want because it's all together. Well, don't expect this lack of transparency to be turned around anytime soon, though. Certainly not from this White House.
David Grush, who sat on a U.S. Air Force panel on UAPs, he says that he was informed of a UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program based on interviewing 40 witnesses over 4 years. Does such a program exist, and do you believe that the American people deserve to know if it does?
I have no information on that to provide for you today, one way or the other.
One way or another. Well, as astounding as it is to hear these revelations in an open congressional hearing, the claims of intimidation, the claims of harassment to keep this story hidden from the American public, that may be actually the biggest bombshell here.
I do have knowledge of active planned reprisal activity against myself and other colleagues. There were certain colleagues of mine that were brutally administratively attacked. I call it administrative terrorism. That's their quiver, their tool in the toolbox to silence people.
This suppression campaign may have gone much further than administrative action, though.
Do you have any personal knowledge of people who have been harmed or injured in efforts to cover up or conceal these extraterrestrial technology?
Yes. Personally.
Have anyone been murdered that you would think, that you know of or have heard of, I guess?
I have to be careful asking that question. I directed people with that knowledge to the appropriate authorities.
It's not just intimidation, action. These accusations, they demand immediate investigation because, you know, we're funding this. We, the people, have a right to know what our government is hiding from us. And these tactics to cover up retaliate against anyone who's speaking out on the issue? It couldn't be of any greater importance. And we've seen this happen time and again throughout our government. It's why people don't trust the government. This is not just a national security emergency. This is an emergency of trust, our trust in the government itself.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.